I was muted. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. It won't ever happen again. Anyway, I hope you're sitting down when I tell you this. Yeah, I love Sonic Adventure Director's Cut. I love it. And yes, I know, the game is buggier, and maybe the graphics aren't the best, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun. So I'm just gonna start off with giving you guys a little bit of like background on Sonic Adventure. It was released back in 1998 on the Dreamcast, and the plot is so fun. I really enjoy this story a lot. So we got our man Eggman, and he's trying to like take over and find like a new way to like defeat Sonic. And then he discovers like Chaos, and it's this like super powerful creature sealed inside the Master Emerald like long ago, and it can like transform into like the perfect Chaos. And you got like my favorite little squad here. You got Sonic, Tails, Amy, Big the Cat, Knuckles, and Gamma, and they all kind of just like set off and do their thing in their own way to like stop it. So then fast forward to 2003, the game was re-released as Sonic Adventure Director's Cut, DX. As a kid, I didn't know that was short for Director's Cut. I'll be so honest with you. I thought you had to pronounce the whole thing, Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut, which is a little fun fact about me. But it's funny though, because that name is a little bit misleading. The term director's cut typically means like a version of like a film or a game that represents like the creator's like full vision, and it's like often cut content and it's just been like restored. But with like this Sonic Adventure, like the director's cut, it doesn't necessarily restore cut content from like the original Dreamcast version. So like that branding, it just primarily like refers to like the new material that's been added into the game. And quite honestly, there is a lot of very noticeable differences in the original compared to like the GameCube, and oh my god, the PC. The PC one looks unplayable in my opinion. I don't really like it so much. Besides like there being a lot of like visual differences that I'm gonna get into here in like a second, there was just like new missions added, and like with the addition of this like new content, you also got bugs that weren't also there in the original game. The bugs, they're everywhere. They're under my skin. They're in my skin. Help me. So I'm going to show you guys some differences, at least main differences that I've noticed in the game in some of my favorite areas. And a lot of these findings are also shown on this really sick website called Dreamcastify. It's so dope. Please go check it out if you want like some really awesome detail that they have on there that I might not have. I'm going to start with looking at the character models. The director's cut version is supposedly supposed to have like these updated versions of the character models with like texture and things like that. The Dreamcast version, it uses a PVR texture, so it's like more compressed, and of course it's like optimized for that hardware. And then with like the GameCube, they switched it to a GVR version, and this means like recompressing textures, so you get just like a lot of desaturation, loss of color depth, and like lower resolution in some cases. When they did the PC version, they like flip-flopped it back to like the original PVR version, and it like compressed it even more. So a lot more like quality loss. The Dreamcast models were designed with like more specific proportions, facial structures, and shapes. But in Sonic Adventure Director's Cut, it's almost kind of like they like replaced that with these much larger eyes and glossier finish on the characters. And a lot of that gloss does have to do with like the result of like the changes to the lighting on the system. Dreamcast had lantern lighting. That lighting reflected in ways that would like match like the art style, so it comes off like way more natural. I'm not gonna talk about like all the areas, just me and my personal picks here. These are some of my fave areas in the game, and I want to talk about them. So that's what we're gonna do. And plus, I would spend so much time as a kid like replaying in these areas a lot. I do notice. That was my camera getting mad at me, bro. Like, talk about all the fucking levels, you dumb idiot. I almost called myself a bad word. But yeah, I would spend a lot of time as a kid in these areas, and then growing up, I would obviously go back and revisit my favorite areas, and I did start to pick up on some silly visual glitches. So I'm just gonna start off with Station Square. Love Station Square. I remember when I was like really young, and in Station Square, I'd pretend like Sonic had to like go to work. So I would like have him jump on top of like a taxi and like ride it around like he got in the taxi, and then he had to go to work. So Station Square got a pretty big visual makeover in the director's cut. The GameCube and the PC versions like introduced this new texture and lighting, and a few models in that area also got some kind of transparency effect on them. A lot of the detail from the original Dreamcast version is missing. And when I found this out when I got older, I was kind of like damn, that kind of sucks. So in the area where you fight Chaos, on the Dreamcast, there's this like really cool looking like red brick clock in the background. But in the director's cut, that the clock kind of just gets like overlaid with like the bottom portion of the same building, and it's just really plain to look at, especially if you've seen what it looks like on the Dreamcast. It's kind of like, dang, this area used to look a little bit cooler. Also, a thing I've seen a lot of people talk about, and it also kind of bugs me too, is like the window reflections. So in the Dreamcast version, windows had different reflections, and it depended on the time of day, and the reflections, like, they moved with the camera. Like, it was pretty sick, right? Felt like you were just chilling in the city with Sonic. You had to get to work. You gotta get on the taxi, you know what I mean? But in the director's cut, almost all the windows, like, they use the same static reflection and texture, and it doesn't even depend on like the time of day anymore. It's all the same. Emerald Coast, baby. On the Dreamcast, like, the water is pretty basic on there. Very low resolution, also super choppy animation. But when you look to the GameCube, they made the water out of these 3 layers. Like, there's this greenish part. It changes a little bit in the brightness, and then you get low opacity bluish waves. And the water actually moves on the GameCube. And on the PC version, you can notice the water flickering like every other frame, but I do like the water a lot. I really want to make a video in the future where I rank or just talk about water in video games, and Sonic Adventure will be mentioned in that video because I want to drink that water. I want to play in the water. You know, it's good water. Nice water. Moving on. Jumping over to Speed Highway. I love this area so much. Who doesn't like flashing lights above the city? The atmosphere is truly great here. Everything in that stage was kind of built to be like visually impressive. And I think it's in everyone's memory when Sonic just runs down the side of a skyscraper. So badass. In the director's cut of Speed Highway, you can almost notice immediately like the differences in light. And this was really heartbreaking when I got older and I saw someone point that out. The lighting looks phenomenal on the Dreamcast compared to on the GameCube. And I thought that when I played on my GameCube, I was like, this is so sick. Look at all these lights. Little did I know I was missing out on even more. There was a super bright, exciting vibe from the Dreamcast version, and now it's like much darker and kind of washed out in this. The lighting in the PC version, it's just gone. It really just feels like it's not there. It's fucked up. And in the director's cut version, there's a silly visual bug here. So you get on like that little red like elevator, escalator. I don't really know what the term for that little piece of moving metal is. There's this like super weird like transparency effect that like happens as it's moving. You can like see pieces of the map start to appear behind it. So Ice Cap, dude, Ice Cap, oh my god. The vibes in there, oh my gosh. Why can't I go back in time and play through Ice Cap for the first time again? The colors are way, way, way more washed out and like desaturated compared to like the Dreamcast version. It all just looks much more dull. And there are some visual effects too that they removed. In the cave section with like the hanging icicles, it used to have more of a shiny reflective look onto it, but it seems to go away in the director's cut. And oh my god, with the snowboarding, it's just blinding white. Like, it is actually blinding. And then if you look at like the Dreamcast one, especially when they're side by side, it is a silly difference because the Dreamcast is like more blue tones, and then it's like you're at the gates of heaven when you're in the Sonic Adventure Director's Cut one. Like, holy. But the biggest change here is when you come back and you play as like Big the Cat, because it used to look like nighttime on Dreamcast, and then on GameCube, no more nighttime. All right, who wants to go gambling? So at the first glance of like Casinopolis, it doesn't seem that bad, really. They still have a lot of like the same animations going on most of like the tops of like the games in there and like the roof and everything. The bathroom that also had showers in it, I don't know why. I don't understand that. I really do not understand why there were showers at the casino. Who was getting super sweaty in there, you know? But the shower room does have a redesign. It doesn't really look that bad, to be honest. I kind of like the GameCube version of it. But there were some weird choices. The wall lights, they don't have like the normal light look. It's glowing like darkness. And then like in the pinball section, some of that original lighting is missing. But unlike the Dreamcast version and the director's cut, they did add some like really nice like flashing borders and more shiny lights. And who doesn't like shiny lights, right? It's a nice touch. So, and I'm just gonna really quickly touch on the KO Gardens. I personally like the look of the KO Gardens on the GameCube compared to the Dreamcast, specifically in Station Square. It just felt so much more fun and like colorful in there. Also, big Game Boy, come on, and the fountain. Come on. Also, oh my god, I think this is just like known by now, and I think everyone's gonna agree with me. It'd be so weird if you didn't. Just letting you know now. The soundtrack, hello. In contrast to like the previous Sonic games, the Adventure team, they said they wanted to sound, and I quote, more hot, funky, and rock and roll music. They noted that because the goal with Sonic Adventure was to evoke the essence of Sonic by going from 2D to 3D. And they felt that the music needed to exceed fan expectations, and boy, oh boy, yes, you did. You exceeded my expectations greatly. Thank you. This game means a lot to me. If you couldn't tell by how like giddy I get when I talk about it. And many of like the original Sonic Adventures like designs and concepts were reused in later Sonic games. Just even with like basic gameplay or that modernized character design. It became the series staple. But I think like the saddest thing to like think about is that there was at some point a concept for Sonic Adventure 3, but it was reworked into Sonic Unleashed. Listen, man, I have a love-hate relationship with Sonic Unleashed, okay? I don't love it, I don't hate it. I feel like a lot of people think that way too.